Welcome to the Bourbon Van. I'm Phil. It's Whiskey in the Van Wednesday. Today we're opening up a bottle of Remus Repeal Reserve Batch 2. Today we're opening up our Baller bottle. This is the most expensive bottle in our collection. We found it tucked away in the back corner of a little liquor store we never go in for $88. There's no sales tax here in Oregon, so this is $88, 0 cents MSRP. I first spotted it in this liquor store, didn't buy it right away, wasn't sure if I wanted to pull the trigger, and waited around for a couple of days, watched a bunch of reviews, and decided it was now or never, so I went ahead and bought it. There were only, at the time, 4 or 5 bottles of this available in the entire state of Oregon, according to OregonLiquorSearch.com, so decided that it was probably one of the few chances I was going to get to find this bottle. So let's open it up and see what we get. Good pop. This bottle is made by MGP in Indiana. MGP is well known in the whiskey world for blending some of the greatest whiskeys currently available. They've worked with brands like Angel's Envy, Barrel, Bell Mead, Bullet, High West, James E. Pepper, Mayor Pingree, Pinhook, Sagamore Spirit, Templeton, Tin Cup, Whistle Pig. They all source some or all of their distillate from MGP. So they're a very big brand in the industry. For the last few years, they've been selling their own distillate. They have 3 lines that I know of. The 8 and Sand line, which is kind of their budget line, sells in the mid $20 range. George Remus, which is a 90 proof bourbon, and that's who this is named after as well. George Remus. They called him the king of the bootleggers during Prohibition. Not exactly a nice guy, but left a lasting impression, obviously, and the good folks at MGP decided to name 2 of their lines after him, both that one and this one, which is their flagship. This is the high-end line. So I'm going to pour a glass of it and let it sit here for a second, and we'll learn some more about this bottle. A little more history on this bottle. This is the second batch that they've created of Remus Repeal Reserve. The first batch was only 94 proof. This is 100 proof. And at $88 a bottle, it's pretty unusual to spend that much for something this low proof. There is some age to it. They pride themselves on making great blends, so you know whatever you're getting from them is probably going to be pretty high-end to begin with, specifically their distillate that they're selling themselves. So this particular bottle has a blend of 4 different bourbons from 2007 and 2008. Because of the age of this, about 10 years old when it went into the bottle, and because of the high rye mash bill, I expect lots of spice, some barrel spice, some rye spice. Now that we know all about the bottle, let's check out the nose on this and see what we get. The first thing that I notice is oak, just tons of oak. This has obviously been in the barrel for 10 years before bottled, so you would expect it to have some, but there's a lot of oak on here, like sweet oak, not bitter, not funky in any particular way, just a lot of oak. And then you start to get a little bit of maybe cinnamon and molasses, definitely like a dark sweetness, dark sugar, maybe a cherry note in there. Reminds me a little bit of some of the lower proof Buffalo Trace products. Maybe like an Eagle Rare cherry type of note, something like that. It reminds me a little bit of when I was a kid and you'd go to an event at your school and they would make cherry slices, those square slices with a little bit of sugar on top and the cherries baked in the middle. That might be a Midwest thing, depending on where you're watching this. If you can't relate, sorry. Well, now that we have a good feel for the nose on this, let's go in for a taste. Cheers. All right, so more of that oak. The oak just keeps coming. A little bit of heat, but not overpowering. There's definitely a touch of spice there from the rye. You can tell that there's a considerable amount of rye in the mash bill, but not in an uncomfortable way, not in a bad way. It's still very sweet. Let's go for another sip. What was molasses in the nose is a little more brown sugar on the palate. So from sip 1 to sip 2, the spice really calmed down a lot. And it's still spicy, but the spice is more cinnamon. It's more baking spice than rye spice or barrel spice or any of that. The oak is definitely hanging around. The brown sugar is there. Let's have another sip and see if we find anything else in here. So third sip, I'm starting to get some maple notes, and that's really nice. The maple and the oak play really well together. There is a little bit of barrel spice there. The sweetness of the, almost like a baked good. The cherry note is really taking a back seat, but it's still, the pastry crust is still there. That flavor is still there on the palate. The brown sugar, the maple, the sweet oak, They're all playing really well together. So it's very well put together. The blending is expertly done, which is not a surprise, being that this is not only MGP, it's not only their own distillate, but they've blended their own barrels for their own purposes to sell it themselves. And being that this is their flagship bottle at $88, it doesn't surprise me at all that this is as well balanced as it is, and also that it's extremely flavorful. There's a ton going on in this. As complex as the flavor is, it's also very cohesive. Let's have another sip and see what we think about the finish on this one. So the lingering finish for me is dark brown sugar, maple, just a ton of sweetness, a little bit of the rye spice, maybe not a ton of cinnamon on the end, but it does linger, it does last. It's not a short finish by any means. Each time I sip it, that maple flavor is building, and that finish is really nice. It's a little bit spicy from the rye, just enough to offset the incredible dark brown sugar sweetness, and the oak is still there, but that maple note is really just taking off the more I drink this. So we should probably talk about value on this bottle. $88, baller bottle, most expensive in the collection, and probably not going to be outspent anytime soon. This is a very expensive bottle. Like I said, it took me a couple of days going back and forth and waffling on it before I finally decided to go back and pull the trigger, simply because it's a rare find here, and I knew I wasn't going to get another chance anytime soon at this bottle. Is this bottle worth $88? I do not know. It looks great on the shelf, comparable to something like a 1792 bottle style. They both have that sort of Gatsby thing going on, so I dig the look of it. It looks like a high-end product, it smells like a high-end product, it tastes like a high-end product, but at 100 proof, it seems like it's been proofed down to the point where some of that excess flavor could have come in and pushed this over the top. I do like this bottle a lot. It's very good. I will take it out for special occasions. I will share it with friends, and I look forward to sharing this with Julie. Would I buy this bottle again? Probably not batch 2, probably not batch 1, knowing that that one was 94 proof and didn't get the highest reviews to begin with. Batch 3 and batch 4 have gotten good reviews, and out of curiosity, as I see future batches, I will purchase them most likely because I'm interested in trying them side by side. I'd like to know how they've changed over the years. I think this is going to continue to be a really interesting brand for a long time. Obviously, all the whiskey in this bottle is older than 10 years. That gives it an interesting dynamic. It gives it a lot of flavor, and it means that in the future we may get even older bottles. More rich flavors and more exciting things are going to come from MGP. They do make amazing bottles. At $88, you have to determine if this is going to be worth your time or not. For me, this is a great bottle that I'll share with friends, that I'll look forward to drinking on special occasions, and that I'll compare to future releases. But for batch 2, I don't see myself purchasing it again. If you're in the market for a higher end bourbon, you don't want to spend $88, you want something that's still very flavorful, I think there's better options out there that are not considered budget options, but would still be a better purchase for the money. If you like the idea of a whiskey with a ton of flavor but don't want to break the bank, you could go with a Old Forester 1920, which has a ton of flavor, is really well balanced, and will save you $25 to $30 over this bottle. If you like the idea of something with a little more proof, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is amazing on the nose, has a ton of flavor, sells for $65 a bottle, and would probably rival this for the amount of flavor. Ultimately, for me, this bottle is a special occasion bottle. It is something to share with friends. It is something to save and compare against future releases. It's a great bottle. It smells great. It has a ton of flavor, and the finish is long lasting. In a lot of ways, this is a great value. I'd like to see maybe a little bit higher proof in the future. I think down the road in the future, if they release more of these Remus bottles, or if they are going to release yet another flagship brand that's going to be older, maybe finished in different types of casks, I think we're going to see more and more cool things coming from MGP for their private brand. At the moment, I think I'd like to see a little more out of them before I spend $88 for another bottle of Remus at 100 proof. So I hope you got something out of this video. If you've tried this bottle, let us know what you think. If you bought something else instead of this bottle, let us know what you got and what you thought of that. We will compare this bottle against other bottles in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video from us. From wherever we are to wherever you are. Cheers.